Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. Welcome to another edition of Red Alert Live today. And we are talking about a whole host of things, all to do with Iran, folks. And there's a lot of crazy stuff. We're going to get into a Twitter thread of quotes from government officials and a interesting YouTube video that just is not very good in any sense of the word. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into it. And this is just a collection of quotes from this activist and journalist named Reza Marashi, who is a NIAC, National Islamic American Council member as well. So he says, over the past few days, I've spoken extensively with career U.S. government officials as they've worked around the clock to try and mitigate the damage from Trump's ineptitude on Iran. With their permission, I'm sharing a small taste from our conversations. Enjoy. We have no functional national security making process in place, which is the first quote. We have no plan for what comes next. They're woefully unprepared about what's to pop off, and they're too stupid to realize it. People are freaking out, and rightfully so. We're still trying to dig out from underneath the last war of choice, and now they're trying to start a new one. I finally cracked open the bottle of scotch you gave me that I've been keeping stashed away in my desk drawer. So yeah, it's like things are getting pretty stressful over in the national security side of things with Trump in power. I'm going to call you later to talk through this so I can go into the meetings tomorrow armed with some sane talking points to insert into this cluster bleep. When did most of us find out about the killing of Soleimani? After it already happened. Since then, we've been trying to cobble together contingency plans on the fly, but these charlatans ignore most of it, and then Trump does some stupid bleep that puts us back at square one. All Trump cares about is taking a big fat dump on Obama's legacy, which is very true, sucking up to donors, and distracting from impeachment. None of this is about American interests or security. He's surrounded by ideological lunatic sycophants like Pence and Pompeo, but they're far from the only ones. Many of Trump's top advisors on Iran are military vets who served multiple tours of duty in our wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and elsewhere. They believe to their core that Iran is the reason why they lost those wars, and they're dead set on payback no matter what it takes. And that is so interesting because in our most recent episode of Newsflash, we saw a very, very similar point put out by Chris Hedges in his op-ed on Common Dreams, which was that it's very, 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 very similar to what we've been seeing from what he said, which was that the U.S. we got to have some sort of scapegoat for all these quagmires, and now we're getting it really confirmed here in the government from these career officials, and the fact is they're going to make this scapegoat Iran. And that is the very interesting dynamic to that situation. So, yeah, here's another interesting one. They've been pushing to kill Soleimani for years, and they finally baited Trump into it. They think war with Iran is long overdue. So for them, this was a means to an end. When Iran responds, they'll tell Trump to hit the Iranians harder. You see where this could go. So, yeah, I definitely do. They know the Iraqis are going to kick them out now, so they're going to try and kill as many people as possible on their way out. By the way, as you know, the Iranian parliament voted to expel them, and Mark Esper, the defense secretary, has said as of now that, we're not leaving. We're not leaving. What do you think? We're going to leave? No. So some of them are advising Trump to the Iraqi government to F off and dare them to make us leave. I believe you're not. Insanity. Yeah, so he also says, when I use your points about Soleimani's murder being catalyst for Iranians to rally around the flag, which obviously it is, they said that was Obama apologist BS, and the Soviet Union forced people against their will into public displays of support, so apparently Iran can do that now. They can drag people out of their houses. Trump's threatening war crimes against Iran, and none of the top advisors have the courage to publicly oppose it. Instead, they act like cowards and go back ongoing background with journalists to express their opposition. They should all resign. They don't even deserve to serve their country. We have friends that are getting deployed into war zones, but for what? Trump has 14,000 troops over the past 6 months, and it didn't prevent the current crisis. At what point do we start asking whether deploying troops is part of the problem rather than the solution? The scariest part is that they're just making bleep up to justify their preferred course of action. When we point out inaccuracies or question logic, we're at best yelled at or worse cut out of the process. Most political appointees are paranoid, unqualified, or both. Last year, if you would have asked me whether American institutions are durable enough to prevent a Trump-led war with Iran, I would have said absolutely. Today, I'm not so sure. For as bad as it looks to you all on the outside, it's even worse when you see it from the inside. One of Trump's top Iran advisors got suckered into a honey trap, had their laptop and iPhone stolen, hacked before they woke up, and the White House refused to take precautionary measures regarding their security clearance. Ladies and gents, I give you the Trump administration. So, yeah, that's what the Trump administration really has been up to. And it's very, very disturbing, just to say the least. All right, so I do want to get into this video now because in the link of this really was, interestingly enough, this one of the real stories that kind of made it past my generation. Like, and it really made it past and just spread widely in the culture. Was really the first true meme of 2020. And I saw a post on Snapchat from one of these kids who's got he's one of those guys who's got a collection of like Swiss Army knives. So yeah, he's someone who's much more into. He's kind of like I don't know the right word to say it, but that's probably the best way I could say it. He's a great guy, love him a lot. Shout out to Corbett, but yeah, Corbett for putting this video up in a story. But boy, do I have some problems with it. Yeah, we're gonna get through it right here. I'm going to try and cut out some of the self-promotion, so if you hear me skipping around a little bit, that's what it's going to be. Without further ado, let's check it out. This is a video on YouTube from, I believe, a guy called Lunkers TV.
Spur of the moment, and I'm sure there's a lot of men and women that are right now just kind of like on edge, but I promise you, for the most part, our military, like the boys that are getting spun up right now, they're very, very, how do I say this, excited.
Which is a little weird because, like, you're getting put in harm's way. Maybe they don't know the full extent of the situation. Like, maybe they just want to, like, go out and, like, get some blood, which is, either way, it's a little disturbing. But from what all I've seen in the situation, like, they're going to be put in harm's way. There's going to be people after them. They're going to be right into Iraqi and Iranian territory with a bunch of people who really hate them. That's very, very, like, they're going to be put in harm's way. They're going to be put in situations where it's just not acceptable. For them to really be there, and it's just like, it's like I don't know why everyone's that excited about it. But obviously, like from what he's talked to, in his opinion, this guy who served in the military, he's talking about how at least the people he knows are very, very excited to do this. But again, it is not just him who has. And his friends who are in the military, like, it is other people. All right, we're going to take a quick listen to this.
Probably the best way to put it. Because we've been dealing with this bullshit over there for quite a long time, and this is, I'm not going to say this is my opinion, this is a lot of facts. Well, when I say facts, I'm going to say facts from my own personal experience from what goes on over there.
So pretty much opinions.
That just to kind of clear the air, I want you guys to make your own opinions. So let's go back. We'll go back to what I was just saying a second ago. I'll get kind of sidetracked at times, but towards the end of this video, I will tell you a short story from my personal experience. But I tell you right now, those boys, they're amped, they're ready to go, they're sick and tired of being pushed the fuck around. Just gonna be completely blunt and honest with you guys. So I thought it was pretty imperative because there's a lot of people that are slightly worried, and I don't know if it's just this. I really don't know, but Tim Kennedy posted something. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a fairly well-known person. He's actually, I think he's still SF right now, but apparently the Selective Service System website crashed amid questions. People are scared. Don't be scared. What are you guys scared about? I don't really understand. You guys are Googling how to get out of a draft. What are you guys so worried about? Don't be worried about this stuff. Come on now. You guys living in America have the best life you could possibly imagine. I've been all over the world. I've seen the nastiest things. And I'm telling you, what you have right now is the best thing. So you should, in your mind, you should be thinking, holy shit, I should do whatever I can. I should fight for whatever I have to do to make sure I can keep this and let it go on. I know.
Well, the thing is, I would really get that if there were hordes of people under our gate, like imminently threatening our American way of life. But that's just not the case. The reason that this war is even possible is because there are people in our government who, as we just talked about, have devoted years and years and years to trying to go to war with Iran. And they do it to benefit themselves, their personal egos. They do it to benefit the defense contractors and the military-industrial complex, who have seen their stocks rise exponentially over the past 4 or 5 days when this has all been going on. Like, that's what this war is for. This war is not for protecting America from some imminent threat. This is about putting American troops in harm's way. This is putting about our troops in harm's way to get killed for millionaire, billionaire defense contractors. Like, that's what this is all about. This is not a situation where, oh, I'm dying for my country. It's just not.
There's probably some of you guys are a little bit worried about this whole Iran thing. Just don't. You don't need to be worried. Unforeseen, like, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to go to war. I don't see them doing it because I don't think Iran's that stupid.
Which I really think is another misconception. Because unless like we decide to go in and, like, in some very, very extreme situation, use nukes, like, they have access to plenty of rockets, plenty of bombs, plenty of soldiers, and 2 countries of what is going to be very hostile territory. They're not going to come in, they're not going to be like, woohoo, the Americans are here, yay! Like, a lot of them are not big fans of their own government, but this was if you look at some of the videos of them on the street, like, some of the crowds, like, they're massive, massive, massive when they're protesting. They're doing some anti-American protests and mourning the death of Soleimani, because, like, this is something that's just, like, not okay. Like, it's America violating a country's sovereignty is, I think, the way they see it. And this can really, 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 really make things incredibly scary. So, yeah, so let's get a little. Like, it's not going to be that easy. Like, they can. That's all I want to say. They have access to, like, they know the region. It's their homeland. They got tons of traditional ammunition, tons of militias, a bigger army than Iraq, and, like, if you thought the Iraq war was bad, if you thought people were put in harm's way, if you thought the Iraq war was pointless, this is going to be 4 times worse, because the Iranian military capabilities are 4 times the size of the capabilities of Iraq. So, like, Vietnam and Iraq all rolled into one massive mess. Millions of people will die, not just Americans, but innocent Iraqi and Iranian civilians. Like, it's just going to be a mess.
I'm not saying that they don't have some military power, but I don't think the world or even the American public really understands the power, the absolute power that we have in America when it comes to our military. If our hands aren't tied, just don't even let us loose. I've only been in the situation for the most part where we've had our hands slightly tied. I could not imagine if it was just full, just let loose. But this is also not a video to be any political or try to sway you. That's what I'm trying to say. I want you guys to have your own opinion. I'm just telling you from my experience. I don't think you guys should be too concerned. This guy that they actually just took out, I think it's a very, 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 very good thing. You guys may not fully understand this, so I'm going to tell you. But he's actually, I think he accounted for, don't get my numbers all jacked up, please, okay? I think it was 17% of the deaths in Iraq during the Iraq War were accounted for by this gentleman, because he was.
Again, I don't think that's the number that I heard there. It's like 600, and I don't know if that's 17% of all deaths, but 600 there is the number, and I think it's definitely a little misleading, and it's definitely a little misleading to get, like, really, really pissed at somebody who was fighting you when you were invading them. Like, you were invading his people. Like, so he's just like, okay, I'm just going to let that happen. I'm not going to try and fight back at all. Like, again, it sucks. Obviously, the American troops were dead. This is going without saying, but, like, look at it semi-logically here. They were literally being invaded. Like, do you expect them to be like, oh, come on in, guys? Like, why not? Come on in. Yeah, it's cool.
Distributing CDs back in the day on how to make IEDs like his group was, not him directly, like his group that he was in charge of. So just let that sink in. A lot of people don't even realize that. EFPs came from him, and one of the scariest things, like the scariest things for us when I was in Iraq, was getting hit by an EFP. Oh my God, those were we didn't care about getting shot at or anything like that. That didn't